The world was still young when it happened. Light rested gently on the land. Rivers moved without resistance. Every breath carried peace. There was no fear in the air, no hunger in the soil, no shadow in the human heart. Humanity lived at the center of harmony. Adam opened his eyes to a world already prepared for him. He did not fight to survive. He did not compete to belong. He was formed from the earth and welcomed by it. The ground responded to his touch. The animals recognized his voice. Creation itself seemed to lean toward him, waiting for his care. And he was not alone for long. Eve was given as a gift, not taken as a need. She was flesh of his flesh, life of his life. Together, they walked without shame. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was broken. Their relationship with each other was whole, and their closeness with their Creator was unguarded and free. They were given everything. Every tree bore fruit. Every day had purpose. Work was not a burden, but a joy. To tend the garden was to participate in creation itself. To rule over the earth was not dominance, but responsibility. Only one command stood in the midst of this abundance. A single boundary. It wasn't to withhold good, but to preserve trust. It wasn't to limit life, but to define freedom. The command was simple, and it was clear. Life flowed within it. Danger waited beyond it, because obedience was never meant to be forced. It was meant to be chosen. And so the garden held more than just beauty. It held possibility. Into this perfection came a presence that did not create, but distorted. A voice that did not command, but questioned. It didn't arrive with violence. It arrived with words, carefully shaped to sound reasonable. Did God truly say? The question planted something new in the human heart. Not hunger, not even curiosity. It planted doubt. A slow bending of trust. The idea that the boundary was not protection, but restriction. That obedience was not wisdom, but weakness. The fruit wasn't presented as rebellion. It was presented as an opportunity. To be wiser, to be more, to decide for themselves what was good. In that moment, the garden held its breath. Humanity stood at the edge of choice. One path led deeper into trust. The other promised independence, but carried a cost still unseen. The hands reached forward, and the future of humanity shifted forever. The moment passed quietly. No thunder split the sky. No fire fell from above. The fruit was taken. It was tasted. And the world did not end. But something within humanity did. Awareness rushed in like a sudden cold. Their eyes were opened, yet what they saw was not power. It was exposure. Innocence collapsed under the weight of knowing. Where there had been peace, fear took root. Where there had been trust, shame now stood. They looked at each other and saw what had never mattered before. They looked at themselves and felt the need to hide. For the first time, humanity's tried to cover what could never be healed by their own hands. When the voice of their Creator moved through the garden, it was the same voice they had always known. Steady, present, alive. Yet now, instead of running toward it, the ground that once felt like home became a place to hide. Where are you? The question was not asked because the Creator didn't know. It was asked because humanity no longer knew where it stood. Fear answered before words could. Excuses followed. Blame moved from one heart to another, breaking what had once been united. Responsibility was avoided. Trust unraveled, and the truth was exposed. The fracture was complete. The consequences were spoken, not as rage, but as reality. The harmony between humanity and creation was broken. Work would now resist. Pain would now accompany life. The earth itself would reflect the rupture that had entered the human soul. Death, once unknown, now stood on the horizon. Yet even in judgment, mercy was present. Humanity was not destroyed. The garden was not erased. A promise was woven into the pain. Though evil had entered the story, it would not have the final word. Though humanity had fallen, it would not be abandoned. But the garden could no longer remain. To stay would mean eternal separation, disguised as life. To leave was sorrowful, but necessary. So humanity stepped beyond the boundary. Not driven out by hatred, but sent forward into a broken world carrying both consequence and hope. The gate closed behind them. The ground beneath their feet was the same earth they were formed from, but it no longer felt the same. The journey ahead would be marked by struggle, loss, and longing. And yet, within them still lived the image they were created with. The story was no longer about innocence. It was now about redemption. And the tension of humanity's fall echoed Through every generation that followed, outside the garden, life continued. The world was wider now, and heavier. The days required effort. The ground demanded sweat. Pain became familiar, and time moved toward an ending that humanity had never known before. Yet even as the weight of the fall settled in, something remained. Humanity was still seen. Adam and Eve did not step into the broken world naked and abandoned. They were covered, not by their own fragile attempts, but by a care that acknowledged their failure without discarding them. Judgment had spoken, but mercy had acted. And the purpose of humanity, though wounded, was not erased. Life multiplied. Families formed. Work filled the days. Struggle shaped the years. Humanity learned that independence did not bring peace, and knowledge alone did not bring life. The longing for what was lost lived quietly in every heart. The memory of the garden became a shadow of hope. Generation after generation carried the same question forward. Would humanity continue to hide from its creator, or would it seek the relationship it was made for? The fall had introduced distance, but it had also revealed the depth of mercy that refused to let distance be the end. The story of Adam and Eve is not only about failure. It is about responsibility. It is about choice. It is about grace entering the moment humanity least deserved it. Every person born carries this same tension. The pull towards self, the longing for restoration, the quiet awareness that something is broken, and yet something greater is possible. The fall did not end the story. It began the need for redemption. And that need still speaks today. In every decision, in every struggle between pride and humility, between fear and trust, between hiding and being known, the invitation remains. If this story moved you, take a moment to like the video. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring these powerful biblical narratives, and leave a comment sharing which biblical story you would like to hear next. The garden is behind us, but the story of humanity is still unfolding.